Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, who ruled for like 2 years, like 11th Hijrah, 13th Hijrah, something like that, and Sayyidina Umar, he ruled for how many years? About 11, 12. And about 24th Hijri, I think he passed away. And that time, Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, he became the Khalifa. And what happened in his time was the the Muslim empire began to grow very much. And you see here the Saudi Arabia, completely Yemen and the Egypt and Syria and all the way up to Azerbaijan, they were like moving very far. And you know that not all of these places spoke Arabic. And even those people like in Iraq, they spoke Arabic a bit, in North Syria, Sham as well. But the language was a little bit different, not the same as the one that Saudi Arabia and Yemen had. So what the problem happened was that everybody had some form of Quran or some surahs written, and the problem was that the recitation of Quran was different from one part to another part. So if you're in Saudi Arabia, you would listen one recitation, go same verse. In Iraq, for example, would sound a little bit different because the dialects are different, right? So, and what happened was that people started arguing with each other. They were like, this recitation is more correct, our recitation is right, you Syrian people, your recitation is not correct. So people started arguing there. So that became a very challenging, and this Sahaba, Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman, he was governor in Azerbaijan and also Iraq. He used to go there, and he noticed that people are arguing and it's becoming very serious issue. And so he came back. But before I mention what's the problem with having different recitations even? I mean, what's the problem if people are reciting differently? Because what happens is if you recite differently, sometimes the meaning changes, and even if the meaning is not changing, that was not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted it to be recited. We will talk about different recitations that are permitted within the Mus'haf that we have, but apart from those recitations, you cannot go into a different recitation that was not approved by Prophet Muhammad. So that was the problem, and it would sometimes change the meaning, sometimes it would not change the meaning, but it didn't come out from the mouth of Prophet Muhammad. So that's alarming. So because if people are reciting differently now, then that is not Quran, that is something else. So Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman radiallahu anhu, he became alarmed and he went straight to the Khalifa at that time, who was Uthman radiallahu anhu, and he told, Ya Amirul Mu'minin, oh the commander of the believers, you have to do something. You have to, people are starting to differ about the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't do anything, then we will lose unity. The same thing that happened to Jews and Christians, same thing will happen to Muslims. Everybody is differing, they're like changing the meanings and so on. So when Uthman radiallahu anhu heard that, he was very shocked too. Like, this is happening. Earlier time, Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar, they didn't face the situation because the empire was like not that much big, and the challenges, the Muslims were like very new at that time, and now they're like in Uthman radiallahu anhu's time, they are like learning, and they are like not very good with the akhlaq itself, because they are new Muslims, so they don't know the etiquettes of arguing and having difference of opinion. So all these problems were becoming very big. So Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, what he did, since it's a very serious issue, he called the major Sahabas, the Sahaba who had very good knowledge of Quran and very pious ones, and the top committee members that he had, and he called them and he asked, what should we do now? We have to somehow preserve the unity of all Muslims. So all the Sahaba discussed, and before they came to the conclusion, they asked Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, what do you intend to do? What's your plan? What's your preferred action? So Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, he presented a solution. And when when he presented the solution, everybody like really got impressed with that solution, and they said it was an excellent idea what he wants to do. What was his solution? We will discuss it here. He said that we will make an official copy of Mus'haf of the Quran, and we will not only make it official, but we will distribute it to all the entire Muslim empire. And that was something which was not done before. Now, because now you are saying that this is an authorized version from the Islamic empire, so you can use it now. So that's what he wanted. And he also mentioned that we will burn all the existing copies of the Quran, whoever had it. So why did he do that? Because so that was the whole problem. Everybody was copying from everybody, and sometimes mistakes comes in, and you don't know where you copied from, and one mistake becomes two mistakes, and so on. And people will start writing in their own dialect, in their own language, wherever they were. So it's not the one that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ intended now. So that's why he said all copies should be burned, even the ones in Makkah and Medina even. So those people had the original copies directly. Some of them even had directly from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. But the order was general to everybody, because if people had different copies, then again the fitna will not end. That will start. So if a Sahaba had a copy, and people would copy from them, but it will not be from Uthman's Mus'haf. So, but Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, he made it clear that whoever copies from the from somewhere, it has to go to the Uthman's Mus'haf. So the chain has to end at Uthman. So you cannot say I copied it from this Sahaba. No, because then a chains will form, and there will be difference of the Arabic script. So that's why he said all copies that will be copied from now on has to go back to this Mus'haf. And he said that this should be used. This grand Mus'haf should be used for making copies. Master copy basically. And some of the Sahaba, actually all of the Sahaba, there was a ijma, there was consensus, all of them agreed that that's a very beautiful suggestion, that's a beautiful plan of action, we should go ahead and implement it. Not a single Sahabi objected in that committee. And even Ali radiallahu anhu, he said that if I was the Khalifa, I would do exact same thing what he did. And it wasn't that Sayyidina Uthman just did it by himself. He took everybody's opinion, and all of them were fine. One issue was that there was this another famous Sahabi by the name Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He was very famous too, very, very knowledgeable. He was a little bit concerned about this decision, because he had problem with this term when Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu said that you have to burn your copies. You imagine that you are like early Muslim since the time of Prophet Muhammad. He became a prophet, and all the way he became very Muslim very early on, and now he has all the copies of Mus'hafs, and some of his Mus'hafs he had like notes. Like Prophet Muhammad would explain something, he would write notes in his Mus'haf, right? So now all this collection that he had, now he's being told that burn him. How would you feel? So even though he wasn't like fully convinced if I should do that or not, because everything was there, all the memories and everything. But later on he got convinced that for the betterment of the whole community, I have to take that step. So even though his version was very accurate too, but that standard had to be set that any copy that you have to originate from Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu's Mus'haf. Even the one that we have right now, till now, it is the same format, same copy, same chain. It's all originates from Sayyidina Uthman. It's all about finishing that fitna. Alhamdulillah, we don't have that problem what Christians and Jews have today. They all differ. What kind of versions they have? James version, this version, that version. I don't know. It's like they differ. They differ in the copies. That fitna, Prophet Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu predicted that same thing is going to happen. So alhamdulillah, we have a standard Mus'haf now everywhere. And this was completed in 24th Hijri. When was Abu Bakr's Mus'haf compiled? Remember? 12th Hijri. So after 12 years later, 24 Hijri, this was compiled cover to cover again. So what was the difference between Abu Bakr's Mus'haf and Uthman's Mus'haf? We will cover that. But the main thing that you see here is that this was used for distributing the Quran. Now you have official copy given to the masses. So that's the difference here. Earlier it wasn't the purpose. The purpose was only to preserve. So what did he do in order to accomplish this decision? He first made a Quran committee. So in the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's time, he chose only one person, but in Uthman's time he chose 4 people. He chose 4 people. And Zayd ibn Thabit was the same person who wrote the first Mus'haf. He was obviously chosen for obvious reasons because he had experience with the previous Mus'haf, and also he was the primary scribe of Prophet Muhammad and a very good Hafiz. And he was chosen, and also Abdullah ibn Zubair was chosen as well. Zayd ibn Thabit probably this time was about 35 years and so, and Abdullah ibn Zubair was very young, probably around 21 years. And he was very, very knowledgeable in the Quranic sciences as well, and the Arabic language as well. So this task that that Uthman wanted was that he wanted to have the correct spelling of Arabic. And so he was very good in Arabic language. So who was Abdullah ibn Zubair, by the way? Who was, okay, tell me.
He was son of
Zubair. So who was his grandfather? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The important thing is that in this particular compilation, Uthman radiallahu anhu, he wanted to be very specific about the spellings that's going to be written. You see, one of the problems that was happening during that time was people had different mushafs and different the spellings and pronunciations. So that's why he wanted to make it standardized. So in order to be very, very good in spellings, they had to bring Arabic language experts. And one of them was Sa'id ibn al-As radiallahu anhu. He was expert in Arabic language itself, and he was very eloquent, and they say that his Arabic style was very similar to that of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's why they chose him. And also Abdul Rahman ibn al-Harith, he was also very pious and knowledgeable, known person, known Sahaba at that time.